All right. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone, please be seated. For those who I haven't met, my name is Pete Moore, and I am blessed to serve as Davidson Day's head of school. So members of class of 2021, Davidson Day faculty and staff, former and current trustees of our school, distinguished guests, and cherished family members and friends. I thank you for joining us on this very special day to celebrate our class of 2021. It's my great honor to welcome you all here today, and to our graduates, we are here to celebrate your accomplishments during your time at Davidson Day, and we look ahead with anticipation to everything you will do in the future. Just quickly, this is very strange. talking in a stadium. I've never done this before. Hopefully I will get to sing later. But I do want to take a moment to thank Mrs. Hill, the graduation committee, and everyone at Truist Field for helping organise such a beautiful venue for us to hold our graduation. Thank you, thank you. As we were planning our commencement ceremony early this year, we could not have imagined it would be as magical as this, and I deeply appreciate the countless hours that went into making it happen. Graduates, you are a remarkable group of young people, and we are all so proud of you. You rose to the occasion in numerous ways this year and set an example for everyone in our community, and your teachers and I are deeply grateful. During graduation season, it seems like the done thing is that adults offer advice to young people. So I've got the microphone, so I guess it's my turn. I would like to speak about the power of choice and how it can transform your life. When I was your age, it was 6 weeks after I graduated high school, 2 weeks after my 18th birthday, I moved to England from Australia for a gap year. I was fortunate enough to get a job in the northeast of England at a boarding school as a teacher's aide. Keep in mind, this was 27 years ago in 1994. This is before the internet, before email, before FaceTime, and it cost a fortune, maybe around $1 a minute or £1 a minute to call home. I did not know many people when I arrived, and I spent a lot of time with the family who ran one of the boarding houses. The boarding master, Jonathan, had recently retired from the British Special Forces and was an amazing husband and father. On his bookshelf, he had a whole range of books that I'd simply never encountered before. These were classic personal development books with titles like How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Magic of Thinking Big, The Power of Positive Thinking, and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I thought, if these books can be helpful for someone who has led troops in the battle, then they'll probably help me too. So I asked to borrow his books and started with How to Win Friends and Influence People and devoured the others from there. I simply could not believe what I was reading. In essence, all these books said a variation on the same thing. I learned that the quality of our lives is directly related to the choices we make. I realized that if I wanted to lead an extraordinary life, I needed to make wiser choices. I can't begin to express how liberating that was for me. I learned that no matter the situation I found myself in, I had agency. I did not have to respond reactively. I could choose my words and actions. I soon learned that if I made different choices and was conscious of my words and actions, the world around me would change. Now, making wiser choices does not seem like a hard thing to do. Unfortunately, there's a catch. A respected author and speaker, Jim Rohn, said decades ago, the things that are easy to do are easy not to do. Let's say you want to be successful in college. The formula is really simple. You have to choose to go to class on time, study, and hand your assignments in on time. Now, none of these are particularly hard to do. The challenge is they're easy not to do. It's nearly the same in every single aspect of your life. If you want to be in a loving relationship, then it helps to treat the person with respect, let them know every day how special they are to you, and apologize when you're wrong. Word to the wise, it also helps to apologize when you're not wrong as well. Goes a long way. So these things aren't difficult to do. Again, they're just easy not to do. So one other example. As you step into the workforce, being successful at work is really easy. You do more than is expected, you don't gossip, and you help others be successful. Again, they're not hard to do, they're just easy not to do. The lessons I learned in the far north of England a generation ago is the reason I have the honor of speaking with you today. I am here because I learned over the years to make wiser choices. Now, it wasn't easy. I was pretty impulsive when I was much younger. So my message to you is really quite simple. The life that you lead will be the sum of your choices, both big and small. But most importantly, it is the small, seemingly insignificant choices that will compound year after year, decade after decade, that will shape your life. These small things will make a tremendous difference. So begin by paying attention to the choices you make today. Are they wise choices? Are you taking the easy route? Or is there something else that you could do that could make your life even better? In conclusion, my hope for you is that you choose a life that is full of courage, purpose, and adventure. Helen Keller said, "Life is either a daring adventure or nothing." Go and have a daring adventure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Good morning. I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to see each and every one of you here on this glorious morning. It is my pleasure to introduce an introducer. Jaden Graham has been at Davidson Day since 2009, and she's been an asset to this community now for 12 years from day one, elevating us in every arena. She is the second in her family to graduate from Davidson Day, following her brother Jordan, a rising senior at the United States Air Force Academy. Jaden has served as president of the Student Government Association this year, and I am honored to invite her to the podium. Jaden.
If you've ever been fortunate enough to have a conversation with my grandma, you know she has endless stories of her crazy adventures around the world and will always have you thinking with her countless words of wisdom. When I think of her and everything she's about, I think of creativity, authenticity, determination, and setting her backyard on fire. I love her to death, but I will never get over how she can start cooking a meal and then go start an art project while the food burns. It amazes me how she always manages to keep busy, but it also inspires me. If you remember from my senior speech, I mentioned that we have the capability to do whatever we want in this life and however many things we want. My grandma is the prime example of that. Commonly referred to as Dr. J, my grandma graduated from Ohio University and taught in the public school system there for 17 years. She received her PhD in counselor education in 1989. She is an associate professor emeritus in counseling and human development at Kent State University, where she served for 16 years in teaching and research. She has also served as a professional clinical counselor and supervisor for 34 years. Her research interests include HIV and AIDS prevention, stress and trauma, multicultural counseling, women's issues, and African American history and development. While at Kent State, she and a colleague were co-researchers on 3 multi-million-dollar grants from the National Institute of Mental Health on HIV and AIDS prevention over the course of 16 years, and assisted another colleague with a grant on HIV and AIDS prevention among women of 4 Native American tribal groups in South Dakota. My grandma has more than 20 articles published in professional journals, 4 book chapters, and is the co-author of 3 books. She is a member of numerous counseling organizations and was the first African American female president of 3 different counseling associations. Aside from her work-related achievements, she is extremely passionate about staying active. She has been to 15 different countries outside the U.S. and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro when she was 75 years old. She has performed in ballet, tap, and modern jazz nearly all of her life and was the praise dance leader at Greater Apostolic Church of Christ for about 34 years. And the list goes on. She is who I aspire to be like, and I would be more than blessed to accomplish half of what she has done in her lifetime, except almost burning the house down. So without further ado, I'm honored to be handing the mic over to Dr. Anita Jackson.
Bonjour. Buenos días. Habari za asubuhi. Aquí estoy con la clase de graduación del día Davidson. You all look so good. This is amazing to be right here with all of you. I haven't provided an in-person speech for over a year. Thank goodness I'm not on Zoom, and I remembered to come fully dressed. Señorita Jaden, mi nieta, gracias por esa amable presentación. I feel so honored, and this is so special. Head of school, Mr. Pete Moore. Head of the upper school, Mr. Michael Smith. Chair of the Board of Trustees, Mrs. Renee Brown. Faculty, staff, parents, grandparents, families, and graduating seniors. A humble thank you. There was this guy that was a great basketball player back in the day. He is honored in 5 halls of fame for playing and coaching. When I first saw him play in college, he used to do this thing on the court, and the crowd would just yell and stomp. It was so exciting to see him do it, and the crowd could hardly wait for the very moment in the game when he would just take off from the foul line, have the ball in his right hand, switch to his left hand, back to his right hand, bing, and plop it in the basket. He earned the nickname Snake because of that move. The move and twists and turns, and that is what life is like. You set goals, but invariably things will happen and you'll go this way and that. But with perseverance and the right attitude, you will make it to the basket. This guy is my husband, and he is right over there. I grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood. During those early childhood years, the essence of who I am was never questioned. Then I went to a predominantly white university. Suddenly, my essence was challenged. If you get criticized because of your behaviors, that is something you can change. If you get criticized because of who you are when born, what do you do with that? I was in shock. So here I was every day going to classes, trying my best to study in an environment that was demonizing my essence because simply the color of my skin. This was a painful encounter. There were many more similar situations after that, like when coming to buy a house and obtaining jobs. These denials of access are vital to a successful life. However, I reflect back on those experiences and have pondered the question, how did I face these obstacles and still go on to obtain the top degree educationally, still win friendships and the respect of people from many different backgrounds, still achieve goals set years ago, still make contributions to my community, and still have a positive attitude about life? I'm sure you know what those twists and turns are like. You expected to go on your senior class trip. You expected to have your field day, your homecoming, your Sadie's dance, and theater productions. You expected there to be large crowds at the games this year. But hey, Jesse, Juliana, Jaden, Mallory, Audrey, Hannah, Sky, Ashley, and Kaley took care of business and brought home a state championship. Yes, woo! And for some of the ladies, this was their third state championship. Yes, ma'am. Oh, and I understand that 100% of you will be attending a college or university. That is amazing. Not many classes do that. Congratulations, Davidson Day and students. You are graduating in a time of facing more profound challenges than any generation in decades. Your responses to these challenges can make your lives and communities either better or worse. As a professional, and particularly as an elder, I've seen behaviors that send students to the bench and behaviors that help them to excel and make it to the basket. Let me share 7 insights that answer my previous pondered question and hopefully will be helpful in college and life. 1, consider the impact of your decisions. Well, I gained 10 pounds my first year in college. All that food in the cafeteria, I had to make some changes real quick. I figured at this rate, my parents would not recognize me 4 years later on graduation day. But seriously, you will be making more and more decisions on your own, whether it's going to a movie or studying and going to classes, getting too involved in a relationship and wasting your scholarship and parents' money, or fulfilling your main purpose for going to college, threatening your academic future by maxing out a credit card, or using some common sense about your spending habits, struggling with classwork, or getting help early. Professors may be intimidating, but remember, college is expensive, and you are paying them to assist you. None of us plan to fail, so don't fail to plan. The choices are yours, but the choices have consequences, and your parents are worried. Ask yourself, how will your choices support you, reduce parental worry, and also enrich the world? Number 2, nourish your brain. You're going to need it. Recent research in neuroscience has taught us that the brain has a lot of plasticity. It's not set in stone. So be positive. Positive thoughts increase new brain growth through the reinforcement and generation of new synapses, which also results in enhanced mental functioning. Exercise, run, do yoga, play a sport, pump iron. Let those serotonin and endorphin hormones flow through your brain and the rest of your body. Exercise enhances brain functioning. Be able to laugh at yourself. Laughter is good for the soul and the brain. Don't just seek happiness. Instead, keep busy and aim to make someone else happy, and you most likely will get some of those happy endorphins as a side effect. Number 3, be in the moment. Some people start toward a career early in life and become really, really good at what they do. And that's okay. Some tend to explore many areas and not find their niche until later. Recent research shows that persons who do well in a variety of areas often have more success because they are better able to provide different perspectives across multiple disciplines. Davidson Day has certainly provided a rich, diverse curriculum of which many of you have taken advantage. I love my career, but I am also an artist, dancer, author, pianist, actress, swimmer, tennis player, researcher, community volunteer, and activist. Have I excelled in all of these areas? Well, I'm certainly no match for Serena Williams nor Dr. Fossey. I do have a wall of awards, but most importantly, all these areas have certainly enriched my life. My parents used to say, don't look so far forward that you can't see the diamond in the periphery of your eyes. Number 4, demonstrate humility. When I went to the step pyramid of Zoser in Egypt, one thing that stood out from that opportunity was the fact that we have progressed considerably in technology. but we still face the same issues today that Zoser faced 4,600 years ago because of our selfishness, our pride, and arrogance. The poet Alfred Lord Tennyson summed it up when he said that humility is the highest virtue, the mother of them all. Yet society celebrates overconfidence, entitlement, and a perpetual focus on the self. Humility enables you to confront your own weaknesses, identify your biases, prejudices, and privileges, to know yourself, and to understand not everyone lives and believes like you. You're going to meet a lot of people from all walks of life in college and beyond. Take time to learn and understand them. Being humble is not weakness, but outwardly modest and inwardly self-assured. That kind of person makes a wonderful friend and a valuable member of society. Number 5, don't fear your setbacks. Sometimes a breakdown is necessary in order to have a breakthrough, to recognize your new beginning. So I asked you, how will you navigate darkness when it comes? How will you navigate darkness when it comes? That darkness may really be deeper than Atlantis. Right, Mr. McGill? Embrace your mistakes, your hurts, and setbacks as teachable moments, and ask yourself, what am I to learn from this? Then get back up and climb. The person that gets up off the ground and keeps growing is the person that will grow his or her influence. Number 6, follow your heart. If you live each day as if it were your last, someday, most certainly, you will be right. That thought made a great impression on me. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, if today is truly the last day of your life, would you want to be doing what you are doing today? If the answer is no, then it's time for a change. Some people are going to tell you or assume that you will not reach your dream. But the one that gets to the top of the mountain is the one who is disciplined, consistent, and perseveres. You only live once, so do what you have passion for. I'll tell you, you'll never be satisfied until you do. 7, maintain that childlike wonder. Life is full of wonders. Every moment is so precious. These conversations that you had with your special teachers that you sort of took for granted, now that you are graduating, you begin to think how precious those moments were. As you go on, learn as much as you can. Take pride in whatever you are doing. Live in the moment. Have compassion. Share ideas. Run. Be excited, inquisitive, and enthusiastic. There are just so many things to explore and get excited about. As Jaden said, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro 2 years ago. I'm going back in August. When you are 30, be that kid that wants to learn. Some people say to me, Anita, you haven't ever grown up. When you're 50, when you're 90, do the same thing and you'll never grow old. In conclusion, have faith so that you too can fly through the air, maneuver the twists and turns, climb the mountain, and make it to the basket. Light up that gift that's inside of you that is so strong and ready to embark on the world and enrich it. Then let that light reach out to others. You want to make this world better? Only the soul that ventilates the world with tenderness has any chance of changing it. To the class of 2021, stay safe, celebrate what is a parent-approved celebration, and I wish each of you the best in your future endeavors.
Good morning, everyone, and congratulations to all the graduates and families. It's so lovely to be together in person for graduation this year, and it is an honor for me to introduce your class of 2021 Salutatorian, Kaylee Dawson. On the AP Lang exam this year, there was an essay prompt about perfection. When the kids told me about it, I, of course, started thinking a lot about perfection. What is it really? Is it even real? Is it attainable? And then I thought about Kaylee Dawson. In the world of biology, there are beautiful structures like DNA and ATP synthase, but perfection isn't really possible. Every biology student knows that evolution doesn't produce perfect organisms. Traits that seem perfect in one environment aren't imperfect in another. So more important than perfection is the ability to change and respond and grow. I have written perfect on Kaylee's work probably 50 times over the last 3 years, and her work is about as perfect as any I've ever seen. But the thing that sets Kaylee apart is that she uses that perfect understanding of a concept to jump into her next idea, her next thought. She is not interested in reaching perfection because then that's the end, right? She wants to keep growing and keep learning. There is no finish line for Kaylee because, true to the scientist she is, she will never stop asking questions and seeking the truth. On the part of her journey that I've had the privilege of traveling with her thus far, I have a few favorite Kaylee moments. My first, all of those questions she asked for which I didn't know the answers. I've been teaching for a long time, so I love it when kids ask me things that I've never thought about. Kaylee does that a lot. Another, watching her work on the bone lab practical in anatomy and physiology. If you look up the definition of determination, there should be a picture of Kaylee standing in front of that skeleton. Another, I think Miss Barnt must have been pretty surprised when she walked into her office to find Kaylee just standing there in the dark looking at bioluminescent bacteria that she had grown in AP Bio. Another, while Kaylee is not TikTok famous, she is apparently Quizlet famous. Teachers all over the country assign Kaylee's Quizlets for their students to study. I actually just looked at them yesterday, and now I'm planning to use them myself. And finally, over the past several years, Kaylee and Cameron and I have spent many hours after school chatting and laughing in the lab. Because of COVID, we couldn't do that this year. And because of COVID, this was the year I needed that the most. I missed that time. But every single day, Kaylee and Cameron came by my room to say goodbye before they left school. That small, thoughtful, selfless act that I'm sure they didn't give a second thought meant everything to me as a teacher. So, perfection. Vince Lombardi's quote about perfection is my favorite. Perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. Kaylee is brilliant, one of the most dazzlingly brilliant people I know. But she is much more than that. With her amazing, creative, and logical brain and her compassionate heart, she can do great things. I will miss her more than I can say next year. But, in the words of Tom Petty, it's time to move on, time to get going. Kaylee can change the world, and it's time for her to get going on that. As she chases perfection, I can't wait to see her excellence shine through so the rest of the world can see it. Congratulations, Kaylee.
For me. Nearly every day this year, I have woken up early, showered, had breakfast, stepped into the car with my dad, yes, because I still can't drive, and arrived at school at 7:25 in the morning. From 7:25 to 8:15, I sat in room 800 with Miss Khadijah, either studying, asking Miss Khadijah questions about calculus, looking through my social media, or reading random articles. But in that seat in the middle of room 100, I had a perfect view. Through that open door, I could see each and every person who came up the main staircase and walked into the high school hallway. As my teachers like Miss Brown and Dr. Hunt, and fellow students like Bennett and Estella, strolled by my classroom and into the hallway, we would catch each other's eyes. With the mask on, a simple smile wouldn't suffice, so I would always give and receive a wave. While these small actions of recognition and kindness likely haven't made a huge impact on anyone else's day or year, those waves were extremely valuable to me. Whenever I was irritable or barely awake, that minor hand gesture brightened my mood, even if just incrementally, and woke me up. This year, those small moments with peers and teachers have kept me going. While it's easy to focus solely on yourself, sharing those interactions with others is more fulfilling in the long run. In my 8 years at Davidson Day, I have changed immensely, and it's because of the community surrounding me that I've been able to grow. I've been able to move forward along with my classmates and everyone that I interact with, almost like kindergartners walking together through the halls using a rope, or like individual water molecules moving against the force of gravity as a unit through cohesion and adhesion to deliver water to all parts of the plant. When I first came to Davidson Day, I was 9 years old. My shy, timid, 5th grade self found it difficult to communicate with the 33 people in my grade, and even with my teachers. This led to me essentially becoming my cousin Cameron's shadow, as I trailed behind everywhere she went. As I went through middle school, I grew through observation. Watching my more socially skilled classmates like Alex, Bennett, and Cole Jesse interact with each other, I began to speak up more. The examples of those students guided me to develop from someone who never spoke to someone unafraid to speak up outside of class, and someone who almost can't be quiet when a teacher asks a question. Then, in sophomore year, I took my first AP class, AP World History. When I first started, I had no idea how I was supposed to study 10,000 years of history, from the Paleolithic period to the present. But as a class, we managed. Through countless study sessions at Summit Coffee and at Panera, we studied the dynasties, the Mongols, and of course, the Columbian Exchange. That collaboration allowed me to shape how I studied and began my extensive use of Quizlet. While I could list many other instances where I grew and succeeded along with our community, I'd like to focus on 2 days in AP Bio. About a month ago, my AP Bio class conducted a transformation lab. In this lab, we attempted to have our bacteria take up a plasmid, which is a segment of DNA that contained genes that coded for bioluminescence. As we began the experiment, we had to use plastic loops to pick up the bacteria. Mallory and I, using our knowledge from microbiology last year, helped some of our classmates gather their bacteria. Andrew helped answer questions about the lab procedure. I observed how Ben, Thomas, and Rocky placed the plasmid into their test tube and learned how to effectively do so myself. Additionally, everyone collectively made sure that the calcium chloride and the plasmid stayed chilled and functional. The next day, we came in after our bacteria grew overnight. We each picked up our Petri dishes and walked to Mr. Smith's office, where we proceeded to turn off all of the lights and huddle in complete darkness. In that darkness, every single Petri dish began to glow. That light emitted from our colonies of bacteria meant success. Our collaboration as a class the day before had paid off, and everyone's experiment had worked correctly. Next year, all of us will be in different locations and experiencing new communities at college, as far away as Colorado and Nevada, and as close as Davidson College. But the growth and success we fostered and shared as a class will aid us as we assimilate into these new groups and grow further as students, as friends, and as people. I can't wait to see what each of us in the class of 2021 will accomplish in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaylee. Dr. Carrie Hunt, who composed this introduction, is unable to be here this morning, and it is my pleasure to read this on her behalf. In my 14 years of teaching, 10 years at the university level, and 4 at Davidson Day, a few students stand out as particularly memorable. Cameron James is one such student. Although Cameron is very intellectually gifted, it is not just her intelligence that makes her such an exceptional student. What makes Cameron special is her uncommon appetite for complex truths and intellectual humility that seeks and prefers complicated questions over simple answers. Cameron approaches school, and more importantly, she approaches the world with the mindset of a true scholar. Not only is she always asking why, she assumes that finding the answer will require effort from her, will require growth, and that learning might require discomfort and might require struggle. Cameron joyfully accepts the struggle. She asks questions and she cares about the answers. These past couple of years, I've also watched her develop what the poet Rainier Maria Rilke calls a love for questions themselves, like locked rooms and like books that are now written in a foreign tongue. Cameron plans to study linguistics at Georgetown University. I think she's drawn to the study of language and literature because studying language is a way to study absolutely everything. Because language is an infinitely flexible container for ideas, a mirror of and a window on all human experience, the frame through which we encounter and shape reality. Cameron makes every day interesting. I would say I'm going to miss her next year, but I won't because we'll be neighbors in D.C., not me, Dr. Hunt. It is my pleasure to present you the valedictorian for Davidson Day's class of 2021, Cameron James.
I have been taking English classes from Dr. Hunt for 2 years now. And one of the many things I've learned in that time, when I wasn't doing projects on Elizabethan cross-dressing, is that we narrativize our lives based on the art we are exposed to. That may sound kind of complicated. What I mean is that we like to romanticize things. We need to organize the chaos of our lives into a story that makes sense. In psychology this year, we learned that our memories, stable as they may seem, are actually re-encoded every time we remember them. This process, called reconsolidation, alters our memories slightly with every retelling. So, in essence, what matters is not what happened, but the story we tell ourselves about what happened. The class of 2021 is at a kind of weird point in this transition because, as soon-to-be graduates, we're in the transition between experiencing and narrativizing our high school experience. We get to make a choice about how important these last few years have been to who we are, about which relationships we want to preserve, and which people we will let ourselves forget. And the answer will be different for everyone. This examination and reshuffling of priorities and personal impact is healthy. As a student of Davidson Day for 15 years now, I know better than most the comfort that can be found in a community that already knows you. Many of the teachers here taught my sister and have been involved in my life since I was doing show choir productions and searching for pet rocks in the woods. Here, I alone am not responsible for the memories I carry. At any given time, one of the 10 lifers in our class can corroborate my experiences. Teachers who have known my family since I was finger painting in Miss Langley's art class can fill in the gaps in my narrative. These people help to construct the story of who I am in the world. Next year, though, when I go off to college, I alone will be responsible for deciding what parts of Davidson Day I want to carry with me, and how I will remember these last 15 years. I know I'm kind of an extreme example of this, and some of you only joined our community this year, but I think that everyone in this class has the opportunity to decide how this school will fit into the narrative of their lives. I won't remember most of my time here. That's almost a given. I want you all to know that if in 2 years you've forgotten I exist, I won't blame you. It's unreasonable to expect that everything I've learned here will make a permanent impression on me, especially given that I genuinely have one of the worst memories I have ever seen. The farther I get from my time at Davidson Day, the more my experience will be re-encoded from memories of specific incidents into the stories from high school I repeatedly tell myself. Stories like how Bennett used to make fun of my horrible park job in the mornings, that Jaden fell out of the raft in West Virginia in a way that was so incredibly uncoordinated even the season guide was surprised, and how Archer Graham's car sounded like an F-16 taking off at 8:15 in the morning. I can tell myself about how Miss Brown started off every new biology unit with, "Ooh, this one's my favorite." How Miss Khadijah got to school early every morning in case we had questions about our calc homework, and how Mr. Simpson let Andrew draw on his face with an expo marker so he could act out Andrew Jackson's famous shootout with Charles Dickinson. I can, to a certain extent, choose what I want to remember about Davidson Day, and as it turns out, a lot of you are worth remembering.
It is a privilege to represent the Davidson Day Board of Trustees. I'd like to ask all former and current trustees to please stand and be recognized. This prestigious honor recognizes one senior student who exemplifies 3 pillars: academics, athletics, and the arts. That make Davidson Day School the premier independent school in the Lake Norman community. The honor celebrates Karen Walter's dedication to Davidson Day School as a board member, a donor, a visionary driver of change. It serves to recognize Karen's tireless efforts to create a school that cultivates well-rounded citizens in our community who excel in all areas of student life and are ready for a global stage. Academically, nominees must have a 3.5 overall weighted grade point average for all years of upper school attendance and have participated in at least one club or student organization during each year of upper school attendance. Athletically, nominees must have participated in multiple sports at least one season per year for each year of upper school attendance and served as a leader of his or her teams. Artistically, nominees must have participated as performer, crew in theater programs or music programs, at least one performance each year for each year of upper school attendance. This year's recipient of the Karen Walter Award for Student Excellence is Ben Slay.
Congratulations, Ben. The joy on your family's face when the award was announced was worth the price of admission. Congratulations, mate. It's my great honour to explain the Head of School Award, the Head of School Award. Now, this recipient is a respected and characteristically an inspiration to both students and faculty, and consistently demonstrates a passion for learning, a strong sense of social responsibility, and a commitment to personal integrity. The honour recognises one senior who embodies the Davidson Day mission by being an engaged student who takes intellectual risks, a critical thinker who is an enthusiastic problem solver, and an independent thinker who articulates ideas with confidence, a student who is expected to be a lifelong learner, charting his or her own path, a respectful, ethical citizen who is adept at addressing global challenges. They are also a self-advocate who also advocates for others. In other words, this person is pretty awesome. They are a student who prioritizes excellence through collaboration, creativity, and character. It's my pleasure to award the Head of School Award to Jaden Graham.
Congratulations, Ben and Jaden. And now the moment you've all been waiting for and tolerating the sunshine for, the conferring of diplomas. Just like rehearsal. You're fine. All right, conferring the diplomas in alphabetical order. Mary Hudson Alexander. Aaron Jack Barton. Sydney Jolie Brown. Maxwell James Carr. John William Chidwick. Jack Bernard Clancy. Hannah Elizabeth Conway. Alexander Michael Koza. Julia Oliveira Cruz Solano. Kaylee Elizabeth Dawson. Jake Hoyer de la Paz. Alexandra Lee Dean. Donovan Nathaniel Dix. Sheridan Renee Elliott. Cooper Hart Ferguson. Dean Thomas Ferguson. Ian Michael Glancy. Libby Summerfield Gordon. Archer Mitchell Graham. Jaden Alexandra Graham. Mallory Raquel Haynes. Audrey Carmen Hansen. Bennett Wesley Harris. Leo Aiden Hoffman. Claire Sophie Holler. Cameron Mary James. Allison Therese Lehman. Abby McCall Lemons. David Robert Lucino. Ian Charles Lowe. Jennifer Emmeline Lott. Genevieve Elizabeth Malik. Hayden Olindo Mare. Austin Harris Mears. Robert William Merriman. Kurt Johannes Mueller. Daxton Scott Nell. Catherine Geiger Nikolich. Ashley Grace Ogle. Juliana Cavender Park. Andrew Jonathan Parker. Holden Frazier Perry. Isabella Maya Rogers. Evan Robert Rosado. Benjamin Walker Slay. Wesley Blaine St. Clair. Madison Grace Stafford. Gabriella Adriana Strahan. Seth Samuel Stutz. Thomas Eugene Watson. Jesse May Koyoung Wiles. And Goldie Grace Witten. You can give them a hand as we transition the platform. Congratulations. Congratulations, seniors, on receiving your diplomas. We'll close the deal on you as graduates in just a moment. And I realize that right now I'm the only thing that stands between you and that finale, so I do promise to be mercifully brief. Parents, congratulations to you as well. This day is at once joyful and reflective and probably pretty surreal, given the blink of an eye since these guys were babies in your arms. You will hug them hard today, they will hug you back, and you will feel their gratitude. Thank you, Dr. Jackson. We are honored to have you here, and thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. You've given superb guidance. And thank you, likewise, Mr. Moore, for your messages this week. I must also thank the graduation committee, as Mr. Moore did earlier, but it is worth repeating. Caitlin Barnt, Charmine Comerford, Tia Hill, and Debbie Taylor began meeting weekly in January to plan this week's strings of celebrations, culminating in this moment, by the way, the largest attended commencement in our history. With great help from this square footage. They had assistance from Steve McGill by dint of his role as the faculty speaker for the class of 2021, and as always, Carrie Lott, serving today in the most important capacity as mom. From securing venues, working with catering, negotiating rentals, ordering regalia, driving literally hundreds of miles delivering senior signs, and we can likely credit them with the weather on Tuesday night at senior dinner, the coolest one ever, by the way, and today's sunny skies. The graduation committee has made all this happen. And I have to tell you that we are in this very unique venue this morning because of the quick work of Tia Hill, who took the discovery of an opportunity to be here from vision to reality over one single weekend. Trent Brown will probably be in the concourse later telling you that it was his idea. In fact, it was not. Would you please join me in thanking them all on the graduation committee? Next, I want to recognize the group of professionals who have literally made this year happen, taken the craft of teaching to a completely different level while masked, balancing technologies, bringing those students outside of school because of exposures or in some cases illnesses into the classroom, and being on the ground floor for all safety protocols in place that allowed us to remain open for effectively the entire year. They have taught your children, including, of course, these seniors. They have marshaled them on to the rest of their lives, academic and otherwise. Faculty, would you please stand and hear our thanks? And seniors, I want to thank you. Whether you've been here 1 year or 15 years, you have enriched us, you have entertained us, you have challenged us in myriad ways, and you have inspired us. The running theme in all of your capstone remarks was gratitude towards your teachers and families, and I ask you not to mince words with those people today. I am an absolute sap for commencements, but I acknowledge that the majority of what is said at them inevitably becomes just a collage of memories, but you'll never, ever forget what it felt like to be here today. So class of 2021, put your serotonins and your endorphins on alert. Let's have you feel it now. I ask you to please stand, turn where you are, face your audience. And now to make you from seniors to graduates, you may now move your tassels from right to left. Families, friends, faculty, and honored guests, I present to you the graduating class of 2021. All right, get those phones ready and those cameras. Here we go, graduates, on the count of 3, 2, 1. Toss those caps. Congratulations.